quality has become one of the most important public health issues in Africa. Poor air quality kills more people globally every year than HIV, TB and malaria combined. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Air pollution makes people less productive because they have headaches as well as feeling tired. To talk to us about this further is Professor Bruce Mellado. He's a professor of physics at Wits University. Good evening, Professor. Thank you very much for joining us on the SABC. You know, it's almost unbelievable to state that poor air quality kills more people globally every year, more than HIV, TB and malaria combined. Just talk to us about the serious health challenge that air pollution poses.
First of all, thanks for having me. And indeed, poor air quality has become a major public health issue. As you correctly pointed out, in Africa alone, poor air quality kills more people than malaria, TB, and HIV combined, also partly due to the great advances that have been implemented in the management of these diseases. And as you also correctly pointed out, because air quality affects people's well-being, it does directly affect people's productivity. So in India, for instance, the estimated impact of poor air quality on the economy, on the GDP, is about $100 billion a year, which is absolutely massive. Same studies need to be performed in Africa, but the situation is not going to be extremely different.
So essentially, it's in the business sector, it's also in the health sector, because you'd find a health sector significantly strained because a number of people are ill.
That's correct. So poor air quality also generates long-term disease, and also is very well known to generate long-term disease among children. This creates, in turn, a serious strain on the healthcare system, additional costs, et cetera, et cetera. So the actual cost of poor air quality is very, very serious. And it is very well researched, not just in South Africa, but globally. So that is well understood. The issue is that in order to take remedial action and help policymakers make the effective decisions and the cost-effective decisions, we need to monitor. And that's really what's missing in the past.
Now, speaking of monitoring, we understand that there are new innovations in that area of air monitoring, specifically AIR. Talk to us about this particular monitoring system.
That's a very good question. So as you correctly pointed out, there's been a lot of progress in developing, designing, and producing cost-effective sensors. We have partnerships with various industries that have excelled at that. We also have accessible and cost-effective communication technologies for Internet of Things. So the piece of the puzzle that we brought in order for the system to become deployable and scalable as well as affordable is the artificial intelligence. So that what the artificial intelligence will do is actually extremely important, because it's going to bring the price of the systems to a level that they can become deployable. Because the problem is, suppose you have the funds to deploy sensors, what do you do with it? What's the use of it? What kind of modeling do you use? What kind of predictions are going to emerge from it? And artificial intelligence, what it does is that it's able to learn from a large amount of sensors in real time and then interpret them, and will be able to provide not just an interpretation of what happens in real time, but also is going to give you a forecast, just like the weather forecast, but now something that is more geared towards the identification of hotspots, which is the biggest problem in air quality management. We need to understand where the hotspots are located in cities and elsewhere. Now,
the innovation in the space of science is commendable, of course, but one assumes that this conversation is not one for scientists alone, but a conversation that must be had with politicians, because beyond the innovation, beyond having all these sophisticated monitoring systems, you're going to need politicians who have the will to ensure that we see less air pollution, because there are a number of business people who benefit from continuously polluting our air. So in that space, do you see it happening where there is that conversation between those in the field of science and those in politics?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is absolutely critical, as you correctly point out. And this is why we are where we are today. We are funded by the Department of Science and Innovation, which is the department that funds the actual research and innovation, the creation of South African solutions to a problem. And through the Department of Science and Innovation, we are working with other departments, like, for instance, the DFFA. We work closely with the official South African air quality monitoring system, SACIS, and we are essentially an integral part of it. So a part of the job that we are developing is not just to create affordable solutions with interpretable conclusions, with interpretable artificial intelligence, but also work with different stakeholders, being that at the level of municipalities, being that at the level of provinces, or at the central level, in order to ensure that policymakers are aware of these local solutions that they can afford to deploy in large numbers.
All right, Professor, thank you very much for joining us this evening.